Hey guys, what's up? This is the Vinyl Casket. If you're tuning in live right now on Twitch, thank you very much. If you're watching this after the fact on the VODs on Twitch or on my YouTube channel at the Vinyl Casket, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So this is a new type of video I'm going to be doing. I have traditionally been doing comic book reviews, a comic book podcast called 1 Month Later on Twitch. It's also on YouTube at 1 Month Later Club, I believe. Um, Also, I do some gameplay. I've been uploading more stuff on YouTube, and I decided to make videos kind of geared towards that, but on here so that I can do both platforms at the same time. This is going to be my first ever TV show review. So if you can see the title on Twitch, you can see the title on YouTube. Uh, I watched the first season of an HBO show. It's only 6 episodes. It was really cool. I'm about to start the second season, and I'm very excited. It really got me hyped, and I'm very excited. I found this, and I can't wait to do this that I'm doing right now, which is going to be a review. So we'll start this off with saying you can subscribe and follow me at all these things right here. YouTube is at the Vinyl Casket. Instagram is at Vinyl Casket. That's where I post a ton of my record collection, and I think I'm going to be doing like short-term text reviews of shows and movies on there coming soon, I believe, if I get that off the ground. And then at the Vinyl Casket Comics, at Vinyl Casket Comics, is my comic collection, which is old stuff, backlogs, weekly posts of my pull lists. I do, sometimes I do written reviews, sometimes I just post and tell you guys to come watch the videos. Whenever I go live, I always post stories on there. I share stuff on there, and one of the other things that I'm trying to do is I do manga, and I'm trying to get my omnibus collection on there too. So that's all my ads. That's what everything is. So let me quickly change that off, and then we'll pull this up. So, boom. This is Betty season 1. It's on HBO. All episodes of the first two seasons are available to stream through HBO Max. So both seasons, 6 episodes each. We're gonna do season 1. So I'm gonna break this review up into a couple parts. So I'll start off with talking about the visuals. If you don't know, because you probably don't, because this is my first real video talking about this. I've streamed every once in a while about this, talked about it a little bit, but I have a master's degree in TV and film production. So I have a background. I've taken a lot of criticism classes, a lot of review classes, a lot of um, film studies. So I'm well. I would like to think that I'm well versed. It's something I really enjoy and I'm very passionate about. So the visuals will be the first thing I talk about. Then I'll be talking about the setting of the setting of this film, where the plot takes place. How the setting is involved in the story and all those characteristics, and that like all the things you need to know about the actual location and the things that make sense. It will make more sense when I actually talk about it. Then I'll talk about a little bit about each character. There's about 5 main characters, and then I'll be talking about the plot. There's a couple plots, and the main overall plot that kind of flows from issue. So used to talking about comics, episode 1 to episode 6. So it start, I'll explain a lot more, get into detail, and then the overall story. I'll discuss my personal opinions on the overall story, give it its rating, and that will be it. And then when I finish season 2, I'll do the same thing. So we'll start with, I guess I'll talk a little bit about the premise of this show. So it's pretty simple at a glance. It is a modern show about the current year, 2019, 2020-ish, 2021, about a group of women, of like early 20s, maybe 1918 uh, year old women um, in New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, in that area that are very involved in the skateboarding community and basically social events and the stuff that's going on and their experience of trying to be women in what I guess would be a very socialized, publicly male dominated sport, culture, you know, and to no one's fault of their own, the experiences of what that entails. It's really cool. It's a really great story. The characters are really, really interesting and different and very diverse. Even the male characters, everybody in this show is really diverse. And I feel like, especially when you start getting to the end of the season, even the side characters start to appear a little bit more, get a little bit more development, and become characters that you like. And almost all of them, from what I can tell, return in season two. Um, so that was a little bit of the premise. Um, and I'll get into the visuals now. So this is my favorite little aspect. I have notes here pulled up. Right, let me just make sure that all this stuff is working. Okay, so oh, that's not my notes. There's my notes. All right, so visuals. Uh, the the camera work is really phenomenal. Um, I think it's well done and it incorporates both like professional filming techniques and styles that make it seem like your normal sitcom or something you would see any day on a regular TV show. Something like all those Bravo shows, how they film these people's lives, but also like an actual sitcom. It kind of fused, but it's also really does a great job of throwing in those skate tape elements, that raw skate edit, uh, filmed with camcorder style stuff. All the editing is phenomenal. I was gonna get to the editing a little bit later, but the transitions are great. The filler shots, the shots they use, like they'll use really long multi-pan cut stuff to fill from one scene to another. So it's not like this happens and this happens, this happens and this happens. It was something will happen, then you'll change locations and you'll get like when you're playing a game and there's a loading screen and you get to see that area and what's going on in the area and all the canon stuff behind it, all the things, all the real people skating and the shots and the angles and everything is so accurate to this piece, to the culture, to everything. And when I talk about setting, I'll talk about how important that was to me. So it's just they just do a really good job of making it look like a professional TV show, but also like you're watching like a Viceland like documentary. Or something off of like No Jumper nowadays with how they like when they interview like skaters and stuff. Like the shots that use are really well done and really fit that culture and that piece, and it's well edited. The whole editing throughout the whole piece. So now I'll talk about the editing. The editing techniques they use are straight out of a skate film, straight out of tapes, straight out of old like uh you know old skate movies. Like when you put a beat, everyone has different pieces and scenes and stuff. Um, it's straight out of that. It's the heavy jump cuts and the sporadic movements and the crazy pans and the following the boards, the fluid movements of the camera shots. Everything fits the momentum of the piece, the culture, everything there just feels like all those stuff. And if obviously you don't know because you don't know me, but I grew up, watching Jackass, watching Viva La Bam, watching skate tapes online when YouTube was early, seeing all that stuff, following Rob Deerdack and Ryan Sheckler and Plan B, PJ Ladd, all those guys. I grew up really into playing all the Tony Hawk games, like obsessed with it. So watching this really did a good job, especially editing. As someone who, when they went to college, was taking all these editing classes, and I always was like, I had a friend who, this guy George, who did skate videos, and I always loved the way he edited and how he took that skate edit, like that skate edit mentality and put it into everything. And it just this really raw, gritty, real feeling that makes you connect to what you're watching way more, because it doesn't feel like you're watching something that someone else pre-planned and read. You're watching something real. You're watching, like, the feelings and emotions you're getting from the show are really real. So the footage that they use to tie it all together is also really, really good. Um, so what else? What did I say? It was really modern in skate and in TV. Like the way they did everything flowed. HBO did a really good job. The studio that did this, a fantastic job. Um, and it was really obscure because I haven't seen something like this uh, on like a mainstream television provider in years. MTV and all those other guys, they had shows like this a long time ago. And obviously, I feel like that kind of culture is coming back with like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 being remade and coming out like around the beginning or the end of the pandemic, or the like right before the pandemic. Um, that was really cool. And then Jackass is coming back with a new movie, and that kind of culture of skate raw, like really gritty, real film technique is coming back, and I hope it comes back like fully. But it was obscure in like this current climate to see something so well done on HBO Max randomly just there. The whole season was super fluid, while also like I said, having the jagged cuts, and they just felt like they fit. Like, it's some techniques that would be like ugly in a normal movie, in this concept just fit. Um, it really, like, it put you in perspective. It filled the space with activity, and it made everything fluid, and it really, one of the things that it really did was that it made the concept of time throughout the season feel the way it's supposed to. So you're basically, between the 6 episodes, you're only going through maybe 4 days, maybe 4 or 5 days, and it felt like that. There was no gaps of time, and the way it was filmed, the way that each episode blended into the next, and how they all interconnected, and how the editing and how it was filmed really did a good job of conveying that motion. You know, everything was fluid from the story to the visuals. Um, yeah, convey the timeline perfectly. Uh, and then, okay, we'll get into the lighting. So the lighting in this, obviously, a lot of it's natural lighting, but when you say natural, there's also other factors. There were scenes that were throughout the day, so you had to convey what was morning, what was afternoon, what was getting later in the day. They did a really good job of capturing that. Obviously, they were probably using white balance cards and balance cards and stuff like that to convey real natural light. Um, the way they want it for that, like when that show is, like when the show's taking place. They did a really good job. All the indoor stuff was really good. All the park stuff underneath the enclosure, that was all lit really well. The natural stuff outside, all like inside the store, all that really conveyed natural, warm, like, it didn't feel like it was out of place. There's been plenty of shows where I've watched where like a scene or two will feel like, why is that so bright? Why is that so dark? Why that doesn't that what time did they go into this store? Like, what? But everything was really well lit. Everything was really well done. I went over the editing. I went over the camera movements, the pans. I went over um, how raw it felt, and the real feeling that the visuals are supposed to give. Other stuff. This is gonna blend in the settings a little bit, and then I'll go into settings. Is that the way visually everything looked on point to what it was supposed to for the time period and like the setting, where it is, where it's set. Everything visually looked right, and everything visually moved right, and was captured right, and conveyed right, and everything skating related was filmed right. There was a couple scenes that were used at the end that used an iPhone camera because they were FaceTiming, and that is something that's very modern and was very well done and edited perfectly. Especially, if you're watching it on a phone, it was perfect. But because I rewatched that one episode on my phone to see how it would work, and it was awesome. Um, so all that blended in well. Wardrobe was awesome. All that was awesome. It really depicted a really good fluid visual editing, lighting, sound. Never the sound is another thing I didn't really write about, but audio in this is perfect. Music matched the mood. Very modern for skating. Like this skate culture where it is currently, this fits with this music fit early 2000s. Maybe some of it, but not all of it. It was very modern and lean to that, and really conveyed what time period and what location this is. Okay, so we'll get into the setting. So this takes place in New York City. I am from New York. I'm from Long Island, which is right out of the city. Um, a lot of it's Brooklyn, Queens, uh, Lower East Side. They're all over Soho. They're all over the place, and they conveyed every location, the whole setting, the bodegas, the everything was conveyed perfectly. And I'm assuming that almost all of this was filmed on set, and probably during the pandemic, which made it easier for them since probably all these locations were emptied. They were able to just use this stuff to do this stuff. Um, so modern day Brooklyn. It captured the time period and the way skate culture exists in this space currently perfectly. The brand placements, they did that too. So there was they used real skate brands, real shoes, Nike, the Adidas, all sorts of stuff. There was Converse and Chucks and everything that accurate. Every style that you could think of was there. Um, uh, there was a primitive board, which if you don't know, primitive is a thing by oh my god, he was a Nike rider. He has Nike shoe. He owns primitive. I'm pretty sure it's I'm gonna blank out when I need to know this. When I'm doing a review. Good thing it's live and I can just do this. Paul Rodriguez. Okay. Yeah. So Street League, he's like the master of Street League. And they showed his brand. I'm pretty sure the blue board that Camille gets is a primitive board. They show all this stuff and the whole thing, the whole like conveyment of skate culture, setting up the boards, filming the takes. All the tricks were accurate and done well. Nothing was like superficial or fake. And the setting of this was perfect. The way it was placed, the way it was done. Um, there were Stussy shirts and all sorts of different clothing brands and clothing in general. The wardrobe in this film, in this season of the show, was so well done and really depicted not only current modern day 2020 2021 skate culture, but streetwear and hype culture and sneaker culture and everything that's rap culture, all this stuff. So one thing that I really love about skate culture, especially where it exists currently, is that it blends and fills the gaps between rap culture, punk, hardcore, pop punk, metalcore, music culture, uh, this new emo rap, hyper pop stuff going on, uh, hype culture, streetwear culture, sneaker culture, all of it intersects on skate culture at this point. Like obviously not all of it. Like there's rap stuff that doesn't have to do with skate, and there's stuff hardcore punk music that doesn't have to do with skate. But there's a lot of it that overlaps, and that's where it overlaps, or all those things overlap, and they filled that space perfectly. Where the music, the atmosphere, the clothing, Supreme, this, that, all of it really. The only thing that I didn't see, something that I'm a fan of, is I didn't see Palace really advertised, but you know they just pick and choose. Other stuff that they showed, the supermarket that Camille works at, Seatown, that's like a real thing in New York. There's sea towns, um, like stuff like that. Very accurate, very time accurate, place accurate. Everything was done accurately. Nothing was superimposed. Nothing was forged. Nothing was. You felt like you were I felt like I was in Brooklyn. I felt like I was watching a bunch of people skate in the city. I felt like all that was accurate and well done. Like I was there watching it. And that's something like the filming was so good that it conveyed that perfectly, and the stuff they were actually doing was right and was good. Um I really had no complaints about any of that stuff. Um and then I guess before I talk about the major plots and the individual plot points that they used to convey this season, I'll talk about a little bit about each character. So you got Janae, Kurt, Honey Bear, Camille, and Indigo. Um, I think probably either I don't know who my favorite character is. I would say probably Camille or Indigo. Actually, I really like all of them. They all have interesting, different plot points throughout. Um, Janae, Janae, I think it's Janae. Um, she's really cool, very activist heavy. Has a YouTube show with her first ever boyfriend, who's now like her best friend. That I guess they're roommates. I don't know. They spend a lot of time in her apartment. Um, so I don't know, family friend, whatever. Um, she does that. She's one of the first characters you meet. Kurt, very tomboy like character. Um, super cool. Really defines like that type of person skate. That's really into it, like full on, no matter what gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Like you see them, and like that's someone that played a lot of Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like the way she dressed, the backwards hat, all the stuff. The way she talked was very like drug positive New York. Like all these people, the accents were spot on. Everything, the way they talked, the mannerisms they used, everything was really well done. She's really cool, very over the top, very crazy, high energy. The first one to cause problems. Honey Bear. Honey Bear. Oh, fireworks outside. Great. Wonderful. Honey Bear is very quiet, very calculated, weird, trying to figure herself out. Uh, Again, another one who's super like activist ish, but more positivity and free energy and love everybody. Um, Dresses very creative, very over the top, and she always carries around a camera. And like it was like a DSLR, I would say, full fuzzy mic mounted on top, everything. Really into it. She's always filming. She's like the film person. It's like the first character that the main two interact with. I love her. She's trying to find herself. She doesn't really identify with genders and stuff. But it's also having her own issues with her family, trying to you know, explain to her family who she is. She's like hiding kind of who she is. I'm hoping that more of that gets um tackled in the next season. Um but she's really cool. And there's another character that's not on this list of characters that she comes in contact with called Ash. She becomes like a more main character later on, I think in the next season. Camille. So Camille is. So I didn't talk about any of these people's nationalities or ethnicities or anything, but it kind of makes sense in the show. Obviously, you can see them down there. Uh, uh, the all right. So from me, like if this is where we're starting, that's this. It's Camille, Janae, Kurt, Indigo, and then Honey Bear. If the way I'm looking is the same way you're looking, um, Kurt has the hat in the middle. Um, so you know they all define and express characteristics of their own cultures and personal cultures, and obviously they're all New Yorkers, so they just do the New York thing really well. Camille, Camille is probably the best skater of the bunch, from what I can tell. Um, she's really good. She flows with her own crew, kids that she's grown up with her entire life, people that she's been skating with forever. She's like respected, but still given shit for being a female without them saying it. Right? She's looked down on, but not really. She's definitely like they're her friend. Like she's their friend, but at the same time, like when it comes to things, like she gets tossed around because she's a female. Like she gets pushed over, and you know, it's really wrong. It's stupid, but she's definitely the better skater, um, and it shows. And she's kind of hesitant to put herself with these girls, and I'll explain it a lot in the plot. And the end result's really cool. Um, so then the last person is Indigo. So Indigo is a brand new skater. She takes up skating and she learns skating in this first episode. And she progressively gets better and learns more and uses the bond, and this friend group solidifies around this. Because when at the start of the first episode, it's just Janae and Kurt. And then they meet Honey Bear, then they meet Camille, and she's kind of hesitant. Then meet Indigo, they pull her in, and by the end, they're like this good group of friends with Ash and all sorts of stuff. Um, so Indigo, Indigo is um, how do I describe it? So she's like she sells drugs, right? But she's not like the drug dealer. She's just the runner. Um, and that plays into her plot like as the goes on. She's a very like wealthy, high end um mother who like lives in a very wealthy place. She lives in Soho. She has a really big apartment. Her mom has tons of money. She gets like $350 a week for like allowance. Like what? Um, but she doesn't want that. That's not her. Like she is more down to earth, gritty, dirty New York. Like that's in her personal like preference. And it makes her very relatable. Like you can see like how like her mother like later on, like I think I watched a little bit of the first episode of the second season. Her mother like looks down on her for trying to work a normal job, like stuff like that. Like what? Um, all right, so that's a little bit about each character. Um, and now we'll get into the plot. So I just gotta check this. Okay, just gotta check this. And we're good. All right, notes. All right, so plot. So overall, the first episode is its own like pretty self-contained plot that starts and kind of ends in that episode, but the results and consequences of what happens in that first episode plot uh, leak out and spread the rest and basically fuel the rest of the show. Um, so the first episode, uh, Janae and Kurt go to the local skate park because they were trying to set up an all-girls skate sesh. Basically by word of mouth, without really doing a good job at it, just assuming that the first girl say, "Oh, you heard about this," and then talk. They're gonna talk her into it. But they run into Honey Bear, who's running around with a camera with a skateboard, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Just talks in, flows in, very quiet. Gets pulled into there. Then um, Camille rides past with her friends, and they try to get her to join up. And she's like, "I don't know, I didn't hear. I must not be following you. Whatever." Her friends like laugh at them, and she kind of resists because she doesn't want to, separate from her group. Whatever. Then downpours, New York, random downpour. So they're all running. Um, they all run to this bodega, and the lady's yelling at people, and this guy forgets his backpack. No, forgets his stuff in Camille's backpack, and Camille left. No, and whose backpack? I think it was his backpack that Camille was holding, right? And all Camille's stuff was also in his backpack, and she left it at the skate park, but she didn't. It was stolen. So I realize that someone is either back there or it's stolen. And this guy, he has his key to get in. All his friends leave to go to this indoor skate park that you can only get into if you have a key and you know someone and whatever. So he starts yelling at Camille, and all the girls, band together and stick up for Camille. And then he gets all dickish, and the owner of the bodega says, "Get out," for that, which owner's really cool. And by the end, she gets even cooler. Um, so that all happens, and they go back, and it's not there. So they have to go around, and they're running around trying to find it because they use Find My iPhone to find Camille's iPhone, and that's when they run into Farouk, who is the drug dealer. He is the guy supplying the drugs, and Indigo's in the truck, and they're talking to him. And, "Who's that?" And Kurt is flirting with Kurt. Right, I'm saying it right. Yeah, Kurt is flirting with. Excuse me. I'm very gassy. With Indigo, and Indigo, and Farouk, the guy who lost his backpack, Kurt and Honey Bear, to watch them, make sure they're okay. All stay in the van. They all, hotbox the van, whatever. While Janae and Camille, who is the first day they've ever met each other, are running around New York, going to the mall, going here, going everywhere to find this backpack. Following their phones, can't find it. It's in the mall, but it's not in the mall. Finally, um, going through Honey Bear's camera, she realizes that she's got footage of this homeless guy stealing the bag. And they try to contact and call the girls that are running around, and they see it leave the mall, and they follow it to the park, and they both converge, meet up together, and that's when they find it and they get the bag back, and they, you know, the guy who lost his bag had left. I don't know remember where he went, but he went somewhere else. And then the girls go to the skate park to get in with the keys, whatever, and they're all denied except for Camille because someone comes in and says she's good, and they won't let. And she abandons them and goes in. So that was the first episode. Its own self-contained plot. You don't really get a lot. You get a little bit of development of each character and their basic traits, and the community and everything. But basically, it's all around that one action, and it results with them being betrayed by her. Like they spent their whole day trying to help her, and then she ditches them. So that leaks out and causes resentment in the second, third episode. So I have it written now. Where is it? So you meet almost the entire cast except for Ash and some of the side guys on in episode one. Um, all right, the end of episode three, they get arrested, and that's when you know uh the group stops resenting Camille. Like that's worked out in episode four. It's worked out together. Um, and then they have problems with Kurt, who is then resented for the failure to understand what she did wrong. So, um, the whole second episode is basically about second and third episode kind of blend in with Janae's plot. So Janae's individual plot is that roommate, that person that does the YouTube show with her. I think his name's Ronald. Um, there was he turned the comments off, whatever, on the thing, and she's trying to figure out. And then Honey Bear shows her the screenshots of what really happened, and that it wasn't because someone was talking shit about her. They were trying to call out Ronald for basically assaulting this girl he was going out with, or hanging out with her, hooking up with, whatever. And Ronald tries to basically blame it on the Me Too movement and that she's lying and blah 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 blah. And Janae loses. She just needs to figure this out. I need to talk to her. I need to find this girl. Finds the name. They go on this hunt. They get to this party. Everyone teams up. And it's also her birthday, by the way. Um, so no, it's her birthday, and they're trying to do this whole thing, and basically, well, she finds out, and when she finds out what really happened, it goes into episode 3. Then they go, it's her birthday, and they go to the thing, and Kurt, basically, in her plot, um, causes a fight. The cops get called. She runs away. They all, obviously, they don't run away because they're like, people of color don't run away. You don't run away. Very, relatable stuff going down like in this time period. Very time accurate. This piece is to the timeline, to the timepiece. It's super accurate culturally, and they resent her because of that. So she finds out that whatever, and then the episode after that, she continues to try to find out whatever happens, then confront the girl peacefully, find out what's going on, and that's her plot throughout. Coming to terms with this guy and what he did and what happened to her. You find out something really shitty happened to her, and she has to confront, and she has to choose what she's gonna do with her life. Is she gonna continue to do something this way, or she's gonna make a stand? And it's really powerful. Then the next one I got is Indigo. Indigo's plot is basically drug money issues. She loses the pens that she's got to sell. A bunch of guys are using them, so she has to replace the money, and then she has to bail them out of jail. So she has to use the money that she has, the drug money she has, so she owes even more, and then she forges this check. So her whole plot is money issues, and it creates plot points for the second episode where she basically gets kicked out by her mom because she forged a check. After that, you have Camille, who basically falls head over heels for this skate filmer, editor, Bambi. And he's just kind of a dick. She needs to figure out, she needs to get over him, she needs to realize she needs to find herself and figure out whatever. And the girls' friendship she develops with them really help her find that find herself and figure her shit out. Honey Bear. Honey Bear, basically, her plot throughout the whole show is she's got to find herself after the first episode, obviously. You get to see the problems she has at home with her dad, with her grandmother, her problems, she doesn't really identify as anything, or she's really, she's really her, like wants to be her. She's very loud while also very quiet. She has a lot of questions about herself that she's trying to figure out. Does she like this person? Can she do this? Does she do this? And romantically, what she's doing. And you get a lot of answers and a lot of questions. And then finally, Kurt. I'm still trying to figure out what her storyline, what her plot was. She was used a lot to move along other people's plots, but you don't really get to find out a lot about her. Well, you do find out a lot about her, but nothing that's like a continuous plot. Every episode is something different, but also crazy. Like, there's no solid real storyline that follows her. She just kind of used in everybody else's storyline. up until probably this new season, where at the end of the last episode, she gets doored, where someone opens the door as she's skating and she goes into it and she gets rushed to the hospital and she breaks her leg. So that's she also has a mushroom trip that might be her plot. Is the mushroom trip really like sets her like changes her vibe and what she takes important. So at the end of the show, they all come together and they do another all girl session and it goes crazy. You know, they go everywhere, they all team up, they spread the word, Instagram, flyers everywhere, the bodega, whatever. And the funniest scene of the whole season is when Kurt runs up to these two people sitting by the park talking with skateboards, hands the woman of the two the flyer, and it's Tony freaking Hawk next to this woman. And Tony Hawk's like, "Oh, can I get one?" And she's like, "Nah, only girls or something." So funny. Look, the fact that HBO pulled out the money, I bet you Tony Hawk was pretty just like, yeah, I'll do it. But like, so cool to see Tony Hawk and see like that humor of using him. Like, no, I don't know who you are. What? If I saw Tony Hawk on the street, I'd know. Um, but yeah, everything that's the basic the plots, and then all these girls turn out, and then uh Kurt's not there because she's going to the hospital, so they have to use the FaceTime feature, which was a really cool film technique, an editing technique basically to do that. And then apparently the next season is like towards winter. So I'm very excited. This is like more like summer stuff, and I loved it. I wish one thing I do is that they could have like touched more on the heat waves of New York. You know how there's so many people in the heat. Besides that, I think they did a really good job of the plots, the visuals, the setting, the time period, the edits, lightings, audio, the music, transitions, everything here. They did a standout job, especially for a first season. Like there's almost no flaws. You can't really mess it up unless you give the second season a really crappy storyline and individual plots. Everything here, the characters were developed super fast, super well, and super fluidly. You left nothing to be desired. I feel like I know these characters after sitting down and watching this. After one take, one sit through, you feel like you know these characters. And I've watched the episodes each separately, um, like more than once. I've done a double take on everything. I love it. I rate this show. Well, so I'll do a short recap. Uh, Visuals. I will give this an easy, uh, like film style. It's gonna get a nine out of 10. You could have been a little bit more in depth, but I feel like that would have affected the cultural aspects a little bit. But they could have set some things up. I thought it was cool. There could have been an introduction of more tricks, like more in depth stuff. Uh, but that could, that's not really the focus. This focus is the cultural aspect, which is really good. Editing, 10 out of 10. Um, Soundtrack, audio, and lighting. I'll group them together. That was a solid 9.5 out of 10. Um, Setting, story setting is a 10 out of 10. Plots, I will give a I'll give it a 9 out of 10. An overall story, I loved it. I give the overall story a 9 out of 10, and the whole show I give a 9 out of 10. Um, Easily great. Like I just spent almost an hour, 40 minutes talking about this. Obviously, it's a little long. I did an intro for this. I tried to give as much detail as I could. This is my first ever TV show review that I did on Twitch, and it's going to be on YouTube. So let's switch this out and this. All right. So I want to thank anyone for tuning in on Twitch. Anyone that watches later on Twitch on the Twitch VODs, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And everybody on YouTube, please tune in, watch the rest of the content on the channel, and thank you so much. There will be more of this. If you could do me a favor, like and subscribe, comment, let me know whatever. Anyone can always DM me on Instagram, on either Instagram. You can follow on Instagram at Vinyl Casket and Vinyl Casket Comics. That's my record collection, comic collection, all sorts of stuff. Follow our comic podcast, which almost goes live every Saturday at 1 Month Later Club on Twitch, and the videos are also posted on 1 Month Later's YouTube. Instagram is also 1 Month Later Club. And all the guys there, the channels are always shared, so you can always check all those guys out. I got new stuff for the channel coming out very soon. I'm gonna do another show eventually with a bunch of guys. So please, the reviews I'm gonna do. The next one I probably do is gonna be season 2, and then I'm probably gonna do some of my go through my Blu-ray and DVD collection and do some of that stuff, and then I'll do Netflix stuff. I'll definitely get some of the guys that I'm friends with to talk about some of the superhero stuff, or maybe even have them review other stuff with me that's not even comic book related. Thank you very much. This is the Vinyl Casket. I am Nick. The whole I haven't said this yet, but this is the home of the lamest tastes. Stay lame, stay cool, stay nerdy. Until next time, thank you very much.